Hello and welcome everyone, this is Minu at AngloLink. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you who have posted comments and questions for me on YouTube, Facebook and on AngloLink's forum. If you're watching this video on YouTube and you would like to enable subtitles, click on the button at the bottom of this video. Today I've chosen some questions that you've posted for me on YouTube. There are a couple of general questions and then a few specific questions that I will be answering. Many of you have asked how you can improve your listening and speaking skills. I have chosen 3 questions to read out for you. Ricardo says, I need to understand when I watch a movie. What can I do? Hogyartha says, I really want to improve my English. I'm not confident enough to use it because I'm very embarrassed when I make mistakes while speaking. Is there any advice for me? And Ali Ismail says, I live in an Arabic country and there is no one near me who can speak English, but I need to practice it. What can I do? Let's start with listening, because I do believe that improving your listening will naturally improve your speaking. As I have said before, in order to improve your listening, you have to do listening activities. Now, there are 2 types of listening activities you can do: global listening and detailed listening. Global listening is when you just listen for the gist, for the main ideas. I would recommend that you choose easy, familiar, interesting videos or YouTube clips and just watch them without trying to understand every single word. If it helps, you can watch with subtitles, English subtitles first, and then watch the same thing several times without subtitles. So that's global listening, and it's really, really important. Now, the other activity you can do, which is also very useful, is detailed listening. And that is when you listen and write down everything that you hear. It's a dictation or a transcription exercise. I have done a video for you on improving your listening skills. I recommend that you watch that first to know what are the difficulties that you might encounter when doing transcription exercises, and then do whatever transcription exercise you can find. There are some videos in our channel that you can use. Now, as I said, improving your listening will naturally improve your speaking. But if you want to accelerate your speaking abilities, you need to work specifically on your pronunciation and on assimilating the grammar, the structures of the language. Turning to speaking now. As I've just said, improving your listening skills will naturally improve your speaking skills. However, if you want to accelerate that, what you need to do is to work on your pronunciation and on assimilating the structures that you're learning. You can assimilate structures by repeating phrases that include those structures. In order to help you with that, we have introduced a certain level of membership on our website. It's called Premium Plus membership, and that gives you access to the recording of all the exercises, the questions and the answers, so you can listen and repeat for your pronunciation and for assimilating the structures. Right, now turning to Ali's and Hogyartha's questions about the confidence to speak and the opportunities to speak. Once you have improved your pronunciation and your listening and you have assimilated structures, it's time for you to go and use what you're learning. Okay, it's true, you will be making mistakes, but please don't be afraid of making mistakes. Making mistakes gives you feedback on what you need to improve next. Remember that English is not your mother tongue, you're learning it, and it's absolutely normal to be making mistakes. So have confidence, go out there and speak, and you will learn more. Now, as Ali says, sometimes you may not have the opportunity in your immediate environment to speak English. In that case, I would strongly recommend that you find someone online to practice with, and from time to time, occasionally, have a lesson, small group lesson or a private lesson with a teacher, face-to-face or online, to get feedback on how you're doing, what's good and what needs improving. Okay then, let's move on to some specific language questions. I have chosen 3 questions about conditionals. The first question is from Elnur, who says, I was taught at university that there is actually a 5th type of conditional called mixed conditional. Why didn't you include that in your tutorial? You're absolutely right, there is a mixed conditional, but it's not as common as the other 4, and that's why I didn't include it in the video on conditionals. This conditional is when the past action has a consequence in the present. For example, if I had seen him yesterday, I wouldn't be here today. So the action is in the past, but the consequence is in the present. Therefore, you have a mixture of the 3rd conditional in the if clause and the 2nd conditional in the consequence clause. So thank you for pointing that out. The next question about the conditionals was about the 2nd conditional, and it comes from Robert, who says, can we swap were for was in conditional, number 2 obviously, or would it be wrong? Some people regard it as correct and acceptable. So can we say if I was instead of if I were? Grammatically speaking, were is the correct form. So if you're taking an exam or you're doing an interview, use if I were, if it were, if he were, if she were. Use were. Also, for me, if it's completely hypothetical, like in sentences, if I were you, or if I were 20 years younger, you should stick with were. In low probability situations, like it's not a nice day, if it were nicer we could go out, you could say if it was nicer we would go out. That's acceptable. The last question on conditionals comes from Saad, and it's about the 3rd conditional. He says, sometimes I hear Americans use the past simple in the if clause in the 3rd conditional where past perfect should be used. For example, if I had time last week, I would have visited you. Is that correct? Grammatically, it's not correct, but in America, in American English, the 3rd conditional is not always well formed. Sometimes they use the past simple, like in Saad's example, and sometimes they might even use would have done twice. So would have done in the if clause and would have done in the consequence clause. Like if I would have had time last week, I would have visited you. Personally, I would avoid this structure, but it's common and acceptable in America. And the last question I'd like to deal with in today's video is about the futures. I've had several questions about the futures from you because they are a little tricky. I'm going to read Achilles's question for you. He says, in the sentence, I will drive to work this time tomorrow, we should use will be driving. Why? Is it because it's a future arrangement without a specific time? Please explain it to me. I'd like to answer this question by reminding you of the usages of the 3 future forms that are often confused with each other. One is the going to future, I'm going to do. The other one is the future continuous, I will be doing. And the other one is the present continuous used for the future, I am doing plus a future time marker. Now really, in most situations, all 3 are correct. It's only when you want to insist on a specific connotation that you need to separate them. For example, if you want to show that you have an arrangement with someone, you should use I am doing. So it would be something like I am driving John to work at 8 o'clock tomorrow. That says that you have an appointment, an arrangement with John. If you want to say that you have made a decision or you've made a plan, then use I'm going to. I'm going to drive to work tomorrow. I'm not going to walk. And finally, the future continuous, I will be driving to work at 8 o'clock tomorrow, just shows that, as usual, at a specific time in the future, you will be doing something. So, like yesterday at 8 o'clock, I was driving to work. It is 8 o'clock today. I am driving to work. And tomorrow, as usual, I will be driving to work at 8 o'clock. So that's the real difference between these futures, but very often they are interchangeable when it doesn't matter what the connotation is. Alright then, this brings me to the end of this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to ask me more questions and make comments in the section below. And I look forward to seeing you in our next video. Bye now!